Baruch Hashem, today's Chayel Shnas Hakel, the 21st day in the limud of the Daf Yom in Samach Vov and the Hemshech of the Rebbe Rashab. We're starting today the Maamer Viכולו, השמים Vichol, which is the Mafteach. The Mafteach, the Rebbe writes on it, Viכולו, השמים, HaHefresh ben Ratzin sheba Olamers, v'Ratzin sheba Mitzvahs. We're going to learn the difference in different types of Ratzonos. So, a little bit of a sikkum where we're up to. The previous Maamer, and the Maamer before that, we discussed the idea of doing mitzvahs as Oisin Ratzonos shel Mokim. And we discussed Barachava, the idea where there's two types of Ratzin. There's an inner Ratzin and a Chitzonius Ratzin, then an external Ratzin. The Chitzonius Ratzin is more like the idea of Berurim or Masa, Matan, Be'emunah and stuff like that. The Ratzin HaPnimi, your Mamshech down through Ma'aseh Mitzvahs. To understand this more, we explained how there's that all the Hamshachas in the world come through Ur. It's that, not that there's a physical thing that's created in the lower Hamshachas, rather that it's a Ara from the Mar. Discussed different Madrigas in it, and then we got into the conversation where Keser is a type of Ur, which is higher, which is part of the Nefesh. It's only a Toyas HaNefesh. So even though there's a Koyach HaRatzin, its whole existence of the Koyach HaRatzin is one with the Etzem, and it's not like a Davar Nifrad, like a separate thing at all, whereas other Koyachas, like Koyach HaChachma, Koyach HaSeichel, those are enclosed, those are separated out from the Nefesh to the extent that Chachma and Seichel could remain even though the Nefesh leaves it. Whereas with the Ratzin, it's Miyuchad Ima Etzem, it's one with it at all times. And with this we start the next Maamer, Viכולו, השמים v'Aretz v'chol tzvam, v'isa b'meder Shaba, Ksiv, l'chol tichla re'isi kates, rechava mitzvahs chamoid. Says, l'chol tichla re'isi kates. And tichla, we discussed different pirushim in it. Tichla means a beginning or an end, but everything that starts has an end. Or l'chol tichla, every tainug, we said another pirush, every pleasure. It says like kol yesh sikusim. Everything has a sikusim. What does sikusim mean? Kates, an end, gvul, a boundary, zman, or time. This is from the Matnas Kuhuna. Shamayim v'aretz yesh lem sikusim. Chutz v'davar echad she'en le sikusim. There's one thing that does not have an edge. Ve'ezos a Torah. There's a Torah. Shenema aruka meretz midah. Tzarich lavi in Masha Omer. What we say. Shamayim v'aretz yesh lem sikusim. Shamayim v'aretz has a boundary. How could you say that Shamayim v'aretz have a boundary? Halei ba'olam yesh gam ken hamshachas shem b'chinas ein sev v'chinas bligvul. In the olam, there's many different hamshachas, many things that draw down, unlimited. And we said in the last time, Ratzin is meyuchad ima nefesh. It's a level of bligvul. K'mishkas of Bereshis bara, v'tirgim utzl unkelus bekadmin bara, which is the level of Ratzin, like we said in the earlier Maamer. V'Ratzin b'chinas bligvul. Ratzin is unlimited. Tzarich loymar. So we must say that chiluku b'agilul lamata. This that we say that Torah and mitzvahs is unlimited. But hamshachas l'chayra are limited. This is the way they're revealed. The Ratzin sheba oilum is hakabshu bligvul, even though it's unlimited. It's drawn with an end. She'enei mer b'gilul lamata. It's not revealed down here. But only the Ratzin, the Torah and mitzvahs, ein sefer tichal hamshachasan, umer b'gilul lamata gamkin, and the will of Torah and mitzvahs is down here lamata revealed as well. Tzarich loymar. Me'ach tzarich lavim, we have to understand. Me'ach asher Ratzin b'ligvul, if Ratzin is truly unlimited. Why is there a limit to the way it's drawn down? Being that Ratzin is bligvul, and this is all Ratzin, not just the Ratzin of the mitzvahs. So why takis are not revealed down here lamata? Loving Zet to understand this, we have to preface what we said earlier. The difference between Keser and other spheres, like we said, and this is all levels of Keser. The Keser of general Atzilus, which is the Keser which we refer to by the name of Keser, and in every single level of Sephira is B'chinas HaKeser Shemoy, the test sphere is in B'chinas Ur HaMeir B'Giloi, that the test spheres, the 9 spheres in every single level are the revealed light. Daina B'chinas Mitzvir Ur, they become a physical or an existence of Ur, not physical but existence. And then later when it's Maslavish in the Kli, it has a different form and a different type of entity. But the level of Keser Agam Shezehu Gamkin Mashnim Shech, even though it's also a level which is drawn. Avalu B'chinas Hamshachana Lemes, but it's a hidden. It's in hidden drawn. It's hidden the way that Hamshach comes down Lamata. It's hidden and it's included in the Eibishter's Atzem. But it does not become a shine of light. Mela it's not an existence. And it's definitely not a different entity. Because the Ratzin is Kolul Ba'atzmusa, like we said earlier. This was the reason in every Sephira, the level of Keser is higher than the level of Zman of that Sephira. So for example, in Chesed, the level of Keser of Chesed is higher than the Zman of Chesed, than in every single one, and in every single Madrega. Dina Yadua, the Zman, the level of Zman of Bria, starts in Bria. Zman the Shitz Alfishin, in the time of 6,000 years, it's not from the level of Atzilus, it starts in Bria. In the 6,000 years of creation does not start from the time of Atzilus, because Zman is not in existence there. Bria, only from Bria. It's higher than Zman. The time does not start from when Atzilus became an Olam, because there's no time at that level. Only from Bria is when the Zman of Shitz Alfishin starts. So this is also the same idea where Keser is higher of every Zman. So we see there's different Madregas in Zman. There's where Zman doesn't exist, and then where the Hamshachas happen, Zman then becomes more and more of an Inin. So a Zman of a higher Madrega is not like the Zman of the Madrega lower than it, and the Keser of each Madrega is higher than its Zman. Through understanding this, Yeturats, we can answer Kushas HaChoikim, the question of the Choikim, Lama Nivra Olam B'Zazman, V'lei B'Zman HaChoidim. Why was the world created at this current time and not at the previous time? There's a Chapayim, for example, Torah came before the world. Why wasn't the world Taka created at that earlier stage, at that earlier time? The reason is because before the world was created, there was no Zman. Zman in itself is a creation. You can't even ask why wasn't it at an earlier time? There was no time before the world was created. So it's not shaykh to ask a question, why was the world created at an earlier time? There was no time. The world created the idea of time. Only where the level of Bria started, which that's talking when Bria Sa'olim started, that's when the idea of Zman began. So the same idea where Atzilus is higher than Zman, Yuvan B'Atzilus Sheyesh B'Gam. Kin Atzilus Bria Tzirasiyah, we can understand within Atzilus. Within Atzilus, it also divides into these four levels of the four Elmas. What is the highest level of Atzilus? Hainu Abchinas HaKeser. Chachma Bina and Bria Sh'Atzilus. V'Zaz Yitzira. Malchus Asiyah of Atzilus. Keser Atzilus. Ubchinas Atzilus Sh'Atzilus. Time begins in Bria within Atzilus, which means the Zman that's non-existent. Al Kopanim, there's some element of Zman that's there, which is different than the Zman where there's actually a Zman that we can relate to. But even in that level of Zman, which is non-existent, Atzilus doesn't even have that kind of Zman. Like you said, Seder Zmanim. Before Atzilus, there's no Zman. It's a Seder, the idea of Zmanim. But even the Seder Zmanim, which there is an existence in Atzilus, but Keser is higher than Zman. Every single Sphira, which is comprised of the four Eilumis, this idea what a Partzuf is. Partzuf is it's comprised of 10 Sphiras. Kol echad of these 10 Sphiras, Kol Ma'abiyah. Like we said, you have Chachma and Bina, you have Keser within each Sphira, Chachma and Bina in each Sphira, Zah in each Sphira, and Malchus in each Sphira. In Ebchinas Atzilus Shabai, Atzilus of each level, Shezeh Bchinas HaKeser, of each level, U'lemel Mazman. K'may Bchinas Malchus. The Yadua Bchinas HaMalchus, U'sherish Bchinas HaZman Mokim. Malchus is where Zman Mokim starts, which goes to Malchus Chay Malchus Kol Ilamim, which that's where Malchus becomes a Malchus for Kol Ilamim, where it creates the idea of Olamim, Zman and Mokim. Hashem Melech, Hashem Molech, which is the idea of past, present, and future. Even within Malchus, it's only in the 9 spheres within Malchus. Keser the Malchus, Davuk Tamid Bizo, which is always part of Zah. Hulamaila is higher than B'chinas Azman. The idea of Zman is the idea of Ratzav V'shuv, coming and going, being drawn to the Eibishter and coming back Lamata. So now Ratzav V'shuv, it's earlier and later within spheres. The idea of organization of Seder Shtashos, that one thing dafka comes before and one thing comes later. Like we kind of hinted at earlier already, that within spirits there is the idea of Seder Zmanim, that's an Atzilus which is higher, which Seder Zmanim, it's because it becomes before, it creates this idea that there could be of Ishtalshlus, which the idea of Ishtalshlus is this idea of Kedima V'Ichor, which kind of corresponds to Zman Beruchnias. V'gam zeh hu the b'chinas istalkus v'hispashtos, and even this kedima v'yichor is like Ratzav V'shuv, which is istalkus v'hispashtos. The oz shaykhin in kedima v'yichor, shakeser nimshach, drawn v'nifsak hamshachasei, and then hamshachah stops. V'nimshach b'chinas hachachma. That's your istalkus v'hispashtos, which is also the idea of kedima v'yichor. First comes keser, then comes chachma. But if it's constant, there's no istalkus v'hispashtos. Ein hashech b'chinas kedima v'yichor, there's not shaykh to have earlier and later. The ozef and hamshachah v'hiskalos which kulam boin b'shave k'mishkas ma'kamacher. When there's a constant hamshachah, everything is equal. So this is taka the idea of istalkus v'hispashtos and kedima v'yichor, which is taka the idea of zmanim and seder zmanim. But what the source and the cause of this, all of this, is Ratzav V'shuv. What's pshat? It says, the chayas aliki, hanimshach m'chinas dvar avaya la'achlis kol nevroim. The chayas, which there goes on Pashtat goes on Malachim, that they're Ratzav V'shuv to the Eibishter. They're coming and going. They're being drawn and coming back to their madrega. But we're talking about the Chayas of Eliki, which is coming to everything. B'chinas Ratzav V'shuv, b'chinas Istalkus V'hispashtos, kind of combining this union. The Siba of the Istalkus V'hispashtos is the Ratzav V'shuv. K'mosh l'nashim l'tzorach ha'chaim sheba adam, like a person breathing. Sheba kol rega nimshach ha'chayis v'makar nafshay. Every second when you breathe, the chayis comes from the source of your soul. Umiyad kirega, and in a moment, chayis ha'chayis lotzis l'stalak min ha'guf. It goes away from the guf lalu to skal b'makar to be drawn back into the source. Nimshach menu. The chayis of a nimshach chayis acher, and a new chayis comes out every time you breathe. K'moy kain. Like we said, chayis ratzim v'shavin shenimsha v'chayis ratzim v'shuv shenimshach l'hachis oilumis. The achar shenimshach, the chayis comes miyadim v'chinas istalkus v'schal b'makar goes back to the source. Shezal b'chinas ratzim going back to the source. The chayis of v'nimshach, the idea of shuv chayis achar. K'keinu b'amshach er b'atzilus gam gim v'chinas ratzim v'shuv also er b'atzilus ke'er v'chinas ratzim l'halas v'likol l'makar. The always wants to go back. I'll say why. There's a reason for this. Through this Ratzav V'shuv, which was the Shirish V'siba to Kedima V'yichor, which then creates a Seder of Adragin Olumois, Nasa B'chinas Ischalkus Azman, the Me'achar since Sheish B'chinas Istalkus V'hispashtos. There's concealment and spreading out, coming back and going. It then creates every new in a new division of levels. Shemistalik, it goes away. It stops and starts again. And like we said, if it'll only be drawn, not coming back and going again. It would never stop. All the earth would be bligvul. Since it stops and starts, it stops and is drawn. This creates a division of time. Kinan Azman, the whole idea of time, it's stopping. Like something lasts an hour or two. What's pshat lasts an hour or two? The Zman creates a hafsik. This time frame stopped. Shima and Hemshech Tam B'Yafsek, some will constantly continue. In a Shaykh Lemir Kashosh time, you can't say an hour or two. Because it stops. So Zman is the idea of Afsaka. Histalkus v'Ispashtos, Kedima v'ichor. V'Lozois B'chinas HaHefsek Shabar. Zeu Makar Zman. That's the source of the Zman. So we started saying over here, Zman is Ratziv V'Shov. So Taka, more specifically, we see it coming Kedima v'ichor or Histalkus v'Ispashtos. But really, this whole idea of Histalkus v'Ispashtos, this creates the Makar Zman in Taka, because Temidus cannot create Zman. Dafkis Hefsek is Makar Zman. V'gam Histalkus v'Ispashtos yesh kan inyan hazman kimash nistaliku avar. So even in the actual doing of Histalkus v'Ispashtos, not necessarily Amshach Sa'or, the actual fact that something is stopping and starting again is the idea of Zman. Kimash nistaliku avar. That was past. Umashin Spashat, what's spreading who asid. Hareshkan in Nazman, there's the idea of time, the over asid, past and future. Specifically when it's a new Arvachayas. Shachayas Arisha, Nichel the first Chayas goes back into the source. Vinim Shachayas Acher, and there's a new Chayas. Which got to be safe for Shalbani Perk Mamalaf being injured based to Rufia Vadne, the Bechol Reganim Shiruf Chodosh. That every minute there's a new combination of the Shemus of the Ibrish there, like it says in Tanya over there, that there's Yud base Tzirufim, there's 12 combinations, and every hour has its own Tziruf. Masha Oimrim, Shachayas, B'chinas Ratziv V'Shuv. This is what we said, the life that comes from the Ibrish there is Ratziv V'Shuv. Tainu Sha'oise Achayas Ashram B'chinas Ratziv V'Shuv, which seems there, not necessarily Achayas Chodesh, it's the same Chayas itself. Hanu close B'chinas Achayas, it's the general idea of life, of giving life. The general life, which Taka always comes from Hashem Havaya, or from the Shem Adnai, the actual chayes that's coming down, there's a new combination. Not the same tziruf which was the minute before it. And here's a chidush. Over even what it says in Tanya Taka, that it's b'chol rega, and l'chayra we should figure out Taka that if it's b'chol rega, what's in of the yud based tziruf? Right, yud based when it's every hour. There's Indian yud based tziruf, and there's 12 hours in a day. But we have to Taka understand what's the mean Taka b'chol rega. Fine. Kiyesh kam madrigs from shachs achayos, there are different levels in the chayos coming down. Kamoy kasher nimshach achayos mibchinas achesed, harei kol mibchinas gvura, ubchinas gvura shebe gvura. So it's included from everything. Sorry, I call mibchinas gvura, mibchinas gvura shebe gvura, mibchin chesed shebe chesed, v'cham apratim b'ribi moed. There's many madrigas. So every time a chayos comes, it's comprised with other madrigas as well. V'ime the chayos is renewed in one of these details. Everything is unlimited and all unified. When it comes down Lamata, it's divided. There's a new chayos. And because of this, through this, it has the idea of time. So we already said over here that Ratziv V'Shuv comes back from Histalkus to Hispashtos. Histalkus and Hispashtos on its own creates over and Asid, but maybe that's a Zman. The fact that there's a new Chayis makes it Amshach shouldn't be Tmidi, which this idea of Nimshach Kasho, Shotayim, which again is the idea of Zman. And Befrat, when a new Chayis comes, which is a new Prat, it's a Dvar Chidush for what happened the minute before, the B'chol Rega, the new Chayis, also the idea of Zman. So this is Hamshachis, which happen in all the Madregas, which are Shaykh to Zman. But we started off the Maimer by saying that Zman only starts in Bria, and in every level it only starts from the Tesfiras, but the Kesser is higher than it. That's why Atzilus, which is the Kesser of Abiyah, Taka doesn't have it. Even within Atzilus, the Kesser of Atzilus doesn't have Zman. Say the Zmanim only starts in the Test in Chachma and on. Like we said over here, the idea of Ratzin, which we said also corresponds to Keser, who Lamalam Chinas Zman Shaloi. Ratziv V'Shuv is only when it's revealed. And it's far from its source. And it gets enclosed in a limited keli. Like we said, the idea of Samach in the previous Maimer, then you take a Machshava which is unlimited. And you're magdaled into particular Oisias. Then you could give it over, that makes the Akbala. B'chinas machshava atzma is taka unlimited. But Agbolas machshava, there's the limiting the machshava. The machshava atzma and machshava begillah shechayshava Indian had a serious machshava. It's an existence of machshava. So v'loik makach machshava klub mekar, which is the higher level, which that's taka blig vol. But then it's already a Metzias Machshava. So Taka, it has elements of Bli Gvul, but it's still a Metzias Machshava, Mele, it's Gvul in that sense. So, but now you have fully Mugbal, Mechosh Kenak Balasa Machshava, which is now an Oisias, Sheib Chinas Metzias Murgosh, K'makinu Ba'ar, that when it comes down Lamata, it is already more limited. It's now in the Kalim. Or before that, there's the Metzias Avar, which that's already when it comes out at the level of Keser. Now that it's Ma'am Shaka, it's shaykh to have a desire to be included in the Mekayrai. And that creates this talkus with Pashas. You're far from the source. You want to go out of the limitation to become Bligvul back in the source. This idea of Ratze. You want to go out of the Kli that you're now Melubash in it and it's being Magbil the Ur. Ovashah, Sheyoytze, you taka go out. Adayinu b'kli, you're still in the kli. V'b'chinas nifrad, and you're separating. Ma'achashu rat, because you're running. Once you're included in the source, you can't be running anymore. But still in the keli. But it's in a maim of the matzav of merutza, it's running. Kim kasher ba'kli, merucha b'mekari. Oh, it's shaykh rotze. That's what rotze is shaykh. So upon him today, we started speaking the idea. We're discussing the idea where rotzein and keser is different than the other spheres, because all the other spheres have this idea of zman, which the sherish zman is rotze v'shuv. Rotzein keser is higher than zmanim, and the rotzein every element is higher than zmanim, and this is clearly seen how only when you're in a keli you have the shaykh to have rotzein, which again rotze v'shuv creates the idea of zmanim. Tomorrow we'll talk more about these inyanim of how the differences between these ritzainis till ultimately what we're going to learn in the Maimer, the difference between the ratzin of the oilamis and the ratzin of the mitzvahs, which is l'chayra, like we started asking in the Maimer, how taka are we saying that ratzin and mitzvahs are bligvul when ratzin exists and is ein sof even before that? So why taka does that ratzin not come begilut lamata? A guten Tag.